Coming up on Cronkite News, a coalition of tribes is working to increase voter participation among indigenous communities. We'll show you the unique ways they're rallying younger voters in particular.
Plus, the Arizona National Livestock Show teaches young adults how to raise animals for sale, how kids and teens are using that money for higher education.
And later, the Super Bowl host committee is busy planning for the big day. See how they're helping the desert environment while honoring the nation's pastime.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Jacob Flores.
And I'm Geraldine Torellis. Thank you for joining us. Imagine your trip to the polls was on horseback. No matter how you get there, voter turnout is important to organizations on all sides of the political spectrum. Cronkite News reporter Carolina Hassett takes us to a unique event on the Navajo Nation where activists took to horseback to get out the vote.
In the shadow of Red Rocks, a group steered their horses into a rodeo arena to promote the importance of voting.
Voting to me is now more than just to getting like the I vote sticker.
Activists from across the country are aiming their message particularly at young, Indigenous, Black, and Latinx voters.
That's what all voting is about, is understanding what our people need and to address those needs and to further taking care of the people.
Actresses like Piper Parabo and organizations like Connecting Compton are hoping their unique transportation captures the attention of a new audience.
Horses bring us together in a very unique way. So however we're able to come together and do something that's for a bigger cause, we're down to do so.
Nonprofit organization Harness hosted a solidarity trail ride on the largest tribal community in Arizona.
And if Navajo Nation was all voting, whew, you could move some things around.
Connecting Compton traveled from California to participate in the event because their organization has a very similar goal.
There's very low voter turnout in the city of Compton, and at the end of the day, we want to increase that. People right now aren't really focused on it, but we think we can make a huge change.
From horseback to an August event where skateboarders hit the highway on the Navajo Nation.
When we show up, we are represented and we can demand change. We can demand the things that we deserve.
According to Young, the Illuminative Indigenous Future Survey showed an increase in political participation in these indigenous communities because of organizations and events like these. Organizers did not campaign for any specific candidate or party. Their goal is simple: get to the polls and vote however you can. On the Navajo Nation, Carolina Hassett, Cronkite News.
According to the Elections Office in Navajo County, which is comprised of a large area of the Hopi and Navajo Nations, 32% of registered voters turned out for the 2020 presidential election.
In an effort to give voters as much information as possible before they head to the polls, Cronkite News reporters have created a series to explain the propositions you'll see on your ballot this year. Olivia Doles joins us in the newsroom to talk about Proposition 309.
Arizona is one of 35 states that require a form of voter ID at the polls. Proposition 309 aims to increase the identification requirements for mail-in and in-person ballots. Proposition 309 outlines new voter identification requirements when voting both in person and through mail. Right now, if you vote through mail, you only have to provide a signature. Proposition 309 requires you provide your date of birth and voter ID number. Currently, if you vote in person, you need to provide either a picture ID or two other forms of identification, like a utility bill or vehicle registration. Those in favor of the proposition say it will add an extra layer of security, discourage cheating, and build confidence in the election system. Those against the proposition say it will discourage voters from going to the polls and discriminate against people who do not have a valid form of ID, such as members of tribal nations. We posted this explainer video and others in addition to profiles of candidates and other election stories on our website, azpbs.org/vote2022. In the newsroom, Olivia Doles, Cronkite News.
A report of voter intimidation was referred to the Department of Justice and the Arizona Attorney General's office. The unidentified voter says while they were trying to drop off their ballot at an early voting drop box, they were approached and followed by a group of people. This took place Monday at the Juvenile Justice Court drop box in Mesa. Last week, the Maricopa County Recorder said people were recording voters dropping off their ballots also at the Mesa drop box. The report was referred by the Arizona Secretary of State's office.
The Arizona National Livestock Show and Youth Auction provides an opportunity for the future farmers of America and the 4-H. It's providing an opportunity to help these young farmers pay for college. Cronkite News reporter Michelle Aaron tells us how kids and teenagers are learning life lessons through animals.
There's more to the Arizona State Fair than just fun, games, and food. The Sale of Champions Youth Auction encourages kids to seek higher education through dollars earned in the sale of their animals. A 2019 study by Edge Research shows that a 4-H experience correlates with success later in life. The lessons these kids learn from raising livestock will be with them well into adulthood.
I feel like the biggest lessons I've learned showing cattle is definitely how to stay humble and lose and win with grace. I feel like that's such a valuable lesson that people need to learn nowadays.
Shelby plans to study agriculture or ag communication in college. With annual tuition rising 2.5 to 5% across Arizona, raising livestock gives teens an opportunity to help ease the burdens of paying for college, as well as teaches them valuable lessons of managing money.
I've won some money that I've put into savings for college or cars.
This year, the Arizona Sale of Champions raised more than $78,000. Channing Despain's champion steer was the highest bid of the night at just over $17,000.
I just purchased my next year's steer, and then I breakaway a rope, and so I might buy me a new horse or something. I don't know.
It takes so much love and dedication for these kids to take care of these animals. Some of them get up as early as 5 a.m. just to do this.
According to the national poll on children's health, 3 in 4 parents say COVID has affected teens' social interactions. Auctions such as the Sale of Champions provide youth an opportunity to socialize again.
My favorite parts would be meeting the new people, getting to go and show. When you win, if you do good, when everybody claps for you and kind of cheers, that makes you feel really warm inside.
In addition to the auction, children and teens learn about the importance of agriculture through the farm experience with interactive learning stations. In Phoenix, Michelle Aaron, Cronkite News.
Coming up after the break, a cafe that serves as an employment training program for individuals with mental health conditions.
And new photos from NASA's Webb telescope gives us a closer look at an area thousands of light years away.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge? You can do anything. History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery. I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Mental illness affects 1 in 5 adults across the country. And in Arizona, over 1 million adults have some sort of mental health condition. In Tucson, a unique program is working to help people make their way back into the workforce. Cronkite News health reporter Jordan Lavazari tells us how a little bistro is making a big difference.
Cafe 54 is doing things differently in Tucson. The restaurant hires people with mental health conditions or developmental disabilities to help them gain new skills and land a permanent job, just as soon as they're ready. 22-year-old Mercedes Diaz isn't your ordinary restaurant employee. She has mental health challenges and is on the autism spectrum, but she's never let that keep her down.
I've always wanted a job because like I said, I'm a fast learner and I like to pick up things. They love me here.
Diaz is one of 20 trainees at Cafe 54, a program created by the nonprofit Coyote Task Force that gives people with mental illness real-world work experience.
We're trying to break through the stigma of mental illness, right? Every single meal that we serve is an opportunity for somebody in the Tucson community or outside of that to recognize that mental illness is not the barrier that it used to be, and it doesn't have to be a barrier at all.
But Cafe 54 isn't just about reducing stigma around mental illness. The ultimate goal is to help trainees like Diaz find full-time work.
There's plenty of research out there that shows that employment is a huge benefit to individuals recovering from mental illness. You know, it affects everything from like housing to medication to self-esteem to symptom reduction. Employment oftentimes is the thing that gets people to that next level in their recovery.
It's the end of the day here at Cafe 54, but trainees work in the kitchen, man the cash register, and serve customers during the day. The goal here is to get trainees in, teach them valuable skills, and get them permanent jobs. Trainees stay anywhere from a matter of weeks up to 3 months. They learn budgeting and communication skills, and get advice from peer specialists like Lori Taylor, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia in her 20s.
We're helping people find housing. We're helping them get stabilized on medications. We're teaching them coping skills and encouraging them to attend therapy and creating this community of support.
The program has had many success stories. Grobe specifically remembers a trainee who'd suffered a traumatic brain injury, but changed his life after Cafe 54.
Came through the cafe, he learned both the front of house and the back of house skills, and now he's working in finance. It's a completely different field, and he comes back and he volunteers all the time for us. He helps us out a lot. Just a really special person who really just needed that one chance.
Cafe 54 will soon have another success story. On this day, Diaz worked both back and front of the house, checking plates before walking them to customers.
I like to socialize. I like to be around people and let them know, hey, welcome to the cafe, how are you today? You know what I mean? I like greeting people and letting them know, like, this is a great place to be at, thank you for coming.
Diaz's time here ends this month, and she's already interviewing for jobs.
I signed up for Harkins Theater and Fry's, and I'm really excited. I had one interview so far. I never had a job before, so I would recommend coming here because they teach you so many things and they are supportive. Your other coworkers are just awesome to be around with. I definitely think this is a teamwork of family.
If you or someone you know is interested in joining this program, Cafe 54 has a self-referral application on its website, cafe54.org. In the newsroom, Jordan Lavazari, Cronkite News.
The James Webb Space Telescope captured highly detailed snapshots of the pillars of creation. The pillars are 3 towers made of interstellar dust and gas with newly formed stars. The area is about 6,500 light years from Earth. The Webb telescope used its near-infrared camera to give astronomers a closer look at the region. Astronomers are also using the telescope's stable and precise image quality to illuminate our own solar system. The pillars were last photographed in 1995 by the Hubble telescope.
The weather may be cooling down this coming weekend. What conditions can we expect, Jack?
Well, Geraldine, we will be seeing some breezy temperatures coming this weekend. As for tonight, though, it's going to be rather clear and rather warm. 88 degrees on your way home from work, but we will be dipping into the low 80s and the high 70s to end off the night. As for the highs tomorrow, we're going to be seeing highs in the low 90s here in the valley, 90 in Phoenix, 90 in Casa Grande. 92 in Lake Havasu City, as the Colorado River is seeing lower high temperatures, just like in northern Arizona. We're seeing a high of 64 in Flagstaff. Snow's coming soon in almost a month, and Sedona is going to be 75. As for these windy and breezy conditions coming this weekend, as you can see, this low pressure system coming from the Pacific Northwest, making its way to Utah. Come Saturday and Sunday is going to be really affecting Arizona. That's when you're going to see the most cloud cover and the most chances of rain. As for the rest of your weekly planner, Sunday is going to be 77 degrees, dropping 10 degrees from Saturday, 20% chance of rain that day as well. As for the rest of your week, Monday is going to be 76, and the rest of your week is looking in the low to mid 80s, with your lows sticking in the high 60s. From the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Jack Wu.
I'm Kevin Redfern. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Is there a rivalry brewing between the Suns and Mavericks? More on last night's game when we come back.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge? You can do anything. History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything. There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery. Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village. The landscape of criminal investigation. Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery. I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Kevin Redfern. The Suns started the season off with a bang last night. Phoenix hosted the Dallas Mavericks and were looking to avenge their playoff loss from last season. Phoenix got its wish, overcoming a 22-point deficit to get the win 107-105. Devin Booker finished with 28 points, but the star of the night was Damian Lee, who hit the game-winning shot. Lee signed with the Suns in the offseason after spending 4 years with the Golden State Warriors, and one former teammate and Lee's brother-in-law was happy to see him succeed last night.
Come on! Yeah, Dave! Stick with it! Stick with it! The kid's asleep! I don't care! Stick with it! Woo! What? I'm sorry, Kenneth's crying. I woke him up. There you go, D-Lee!
Super Bowl 57 kicks off at State Farm Stadium in February, but celebrations are already well underway. Cronkite News reporter Edison LaCour takes us to Sunridge Park for the first of many community events.
In partnership with the NFL's environmental program, the Arizona Super Bowl Host Committee held the first of 12 community greening projects around the valley.
Today we're planting 57 trees in honor of Super Bowl 57.
The trees planted at Sunridge Park are low water usage desert trees. They will help keep the park cool without excessive amounts of water. Former Cardinals linebacker Lorenzo Alexander appreciates the NFL's efforts to collaborate with the Cardinals.
And I like the NFL's not just coming in and doing their own thing, but they're actually learning about what's important to Arizona. And obviously the Cardinals being the boots on the ground understand that better than anybody else.
Now that the Golden Shovel is officially passed from LA to Arizona, the festivities began with the planting of this ceremonial tree, the first of 57 in honor of Super Bowl 57 and in an effort to increase the shade canopy in Arizona.
So the data shows that currently this area and surrounding neighborhoods are at about 5% tree and shade canopy. The recommended percentage is 18%. So every investment, every tree that we plant helps us get there.
Getting in on the action were students from nearby Sunridge Elementary School. These students will benefit not only from the shade, but from the experience of giving back to their community.
And seeing the students here today was fun because they are the future. They are the generation that's going to inherit all the environmental issues that we're all dealing with. And to have them out here planting trees that they will then be able to sit under, play under, have shade, walking back and forth to school, that's a great feeling.
It is the kind of feeling that will continue to be spread throughout the valley as the other 11 community greening projects will kick off in the near future. In Phoenix, Edison LaCour, Cronkite News.
The largest of these projects is the cleaning of the Salt River. It will involve retired Special Ops military divers removing an invasive series of apple snails from the river to help restore the ecosystem. The Cardinals are off to a slow 2-4 start to the season, but the wait for DeAndre Hopkins to return from his 6-week suspension is over. The timing of Hopkins' return couldn't come soon enough. The team is hoping to get its offense back on track this week. The Cards have struggled recently, scoring just 9 points against the Seahawks last Sunday. Head coach Cliff Kingsbury is excited about Hopkins' return, but says he won't fix all of their problems on offense.
I think you can watch, how we're playing offensively and see there's more to it than that. But he definitely brings a dynamic that any team would want to have. I mean, we have a true number one. We have more issues than that we've got to correct, and we can't expect him just to be the savior.
The Cardinals are playing tonight against the Saints in a Thursday night matchup, and that game is currently underway. Today is a great day for sports fans when all the sports align in something called the sports equinox. It marks only the 27th time in history all 4 major professional sport leagues will be active at the same time. And today, the MLS and PGA Tour will join them. The last sports equinox was in 2020 when all the major leagues came back after the COVID pandemic. The first equinox occurred on October 17th, 1971, and there has even been a super sports equinox. This took place back in 2018 when all the major leagues plus the WNBA had games in one day. And to make it even better, all games for the pro leagues were hosted in LA that day. That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Jacob.
Coming up after the break, saving time in your day. See how working from home has changed our work-life balance when we come back.
We tell ourselves stories as a nation.
These stories need to be highlighted. They need to be explored.
We're the dreamers.
How serious is America's commitment to looking at its history? How can we learn from the past?
Douglas said, "You're going to look me in the eye and see my humanity."
It's illuminating. I'm seeing the expansiveness of my history.
It's pretty great.
There's so much richness to Black life and Black culture.
I think the story of Muslims in America is the story of America.
Tonight, they are free.
I cannot imagine how excited he must have been.
It's a wonderful feeling. This is why we do this.
It makes me even more committed to struggling for a better world.
Welcome. How utterly charming.
Are you ready to get it going?
How does an English fan come to be Italian Riviera?
A fresh start.
Can I trust you?
Are you ready for the show?
You can't be afraid to show them what you've got, what you want.
Are we having a party?
Of course, the more the merrier.
I love this place. It's my home now. Trouble in paradise. I can't do it on my own.
This is revenge.
There are consequences.
Be careful.
Nothing like this. Nothing like this. Oh.
You look like you need rescuing.
Don't we all?
What is it that you want? I just want to let go. I choose how I live.
There is the passion that I've been looking for.
The aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic has provided Americans with more free time. More people started to work from home, and that meant less time was spent commuting to workplaces. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York says that frees up 60 million hours per day for workers. According to the American Time Use Survey, most Americans use the extra time for personal errands, sleep, and hanging out with family and friends. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.